Our society is built on systems and infrastructures which are often forgotten day to day. However, they act as the foundation of a healthy society. We looked at sewers to explore the idea of hidden structures. Sewers are designed to be inaccessible and far from view, a vast and complex network that has shaped our rituals, rules, and reality in an invisible way which we don't acknowledge.
The sewers receive particles of our lifestyle and patterns of consumption, flushing the afterthoughts of what we invite to our homes to the pipes. What is happening in the overground? If our own bodies can't break certain compounds down, is it fair to assign the responsibility to our sewers? Once these digested thoughts reach the sewers, we're not reminded of the consequences that these chemical compounds have in the environment surrounding us. We live by the illusion that, down the drain, has a separate existence from our own. Haussmann described the sewers as subterranean galleries, the internal organs of the great city. The pipes are veins, long widening channels that pump the sewage out of our homes around the city. Sewers are the lifeblood of the city, extensions that go from the rural fingertips to the heart of London, down to the toes of the ocean. The contents of the sewers represent the collective intake of a community and reflect the health of their consumption. This intake of foods, detergents, and medical substances accumulates and melts together, obstructing and disturbing the waters below. One such obstruction, native to our English sewageways, is the fatberg, a consolidation of grease and oil solidified into a hard mass that clogs our systems. What makes this so frightening is that they reveal the physical size of how much fat we welcome into our homes and dispose of through the drains. In the same way that this fat clots our veins, it also clots the pipes under our streets.
Kitchens and bathrooms, glassy, frictionless places that allow organic matter to slip down holes and tubes and into the underground. They can act as a mirror, reflecting our habits, consumption, and the health of the population. The swirling masses of bubbling data underground can show us the temperament of life above ground, how we really are. They contain estrogen, cocaine, tobacco, antibiotics, phosphorus, steroids, alcohol, and COVID traces, among others. When first constructed, the main goal of the sewer was to engineer a distance between the public and their biohazardous waste. It was for human survival. These were designed around Victorian ideals of consumption and population, but now our collective mass is too great for the borders of our systems. As the public's body of consumption grows, we start to eat away at the borders between ourselves and the environment. Historically, cities have been built along rivers, sources that paradoxically provide both fresh water as well as an excess spot for sewage. An old example of this is when west sewage input travelled through London, and then the east was regarded as having poor sanitation made by people utilising the natural river flows, creating gravitational degradations. Making it hard to see through the grey water, we wonder how things face the ramifications of living with our human objections. We were interested in how this growth would affect the health of the sewers, and in turn the animals and ecosystems that live in and rely on these spaces. After our midway presentation and your feedback, we started to focus our research on fish, and decided to use this as an interface to talk about the chemicals in the sewers and waterways.
Buried under layers of knowledge, numeric data, chemical compounds in sewers seem far from the surface. The abstract distance settled by unawareness becomes an emotional one. After all, out of sight, out of mind. We want to question how could these chemically infested waters affect how fish behave and how they could look. But most importantly, what can this tell us about our public health? By feeding the fish local data, we can provide a better understanding of what is happening underground. Speculate on the consequences and the physical traits that bloom from these chemicals, their abnormality used as bait to hook people's attention. While we have them, we enact our greater ambition of the bigger fish to fry, to ensure that this obscure information is communicated in an understandable and relatable way. Adapting the idea of evolution and mutation as a form of visualizing the data in the waterways. In this, we have created a gift that mirrors and unites the sewer's invisible world and the community.
We chose to focus on 3 chemicals that are common in sewers. We researched their effects and based on the data speculated the way fish may mutate to accommodate these oscillating chemical environments. In our design mutations, we base our creatures on the existing survival measures that biology takes to counter change in the environment, the desperate counter to natural selection. We capture this realistic fiction, the condensed fast-forwarding of adaptation, and immediate rendering of what mutation looks like and how it comes about. Phosphorus in the water sucks the calcium from bones. Mutant fish with bigger bones that can withstand higher levels of phosphorus are surviving, breeding, and increasing the average bone size of the fish. Estrogen from birth control exists in high levels in the sewers, rivers, and seas. It has started to reduce the size of fish, and even more disturbingly, male fish are producing eggs, which means they are less likely to breed. Steroids increase the rate of muscle growth, and in animals also increase the desire to mate. This results in fish becoming more visually striking in order to better attract a mate. By zooming into the health of individual fish, we start to grasp the intricacies of an entire species.
From our research, we realized that there is a grave under-analysis of our underground waters. Chemical readings and substance monitors are few and far between. According to Catherine Ellen Foley, a health and science reporter, sewers weren't built to be monitoring systems. The app plans to elevate one of the oldest public health systems into a modern public health supervisor. We consider citizen science as a potential solution, similar to the project SafeCast, which was a reaction to Fukushima, a citizen science network dedicated to the measurement and distribution of accurate levels of radiation. So here, on the left, we can see workers in Louisville, Jefferson County, getting some water samples to analyze. And on the right, we can see the kits distribute in reaction to Fukushima.
Our project needs a sufficient data sample to pull from. Therefore, to address this scarcity, we propose that chemical data would be collected through sensors in the water systems. It is this collection of data that allows us to reflect on the health of the public by looking at the health of the fish. This data is rich in information and allows us to gain knowledge about the current state of our waters and how we can navigate our consumption to have less of a negative impact on them, or how to counteract it. At larger scales, this data would represent a whole, preventing the stigma attached to one individual. However, there are ethical issues orbiting this data. Who does it belong to, and is it wrong to measure waste from individuals without their consent? As a potential solution, we thought about letting the community take charge of the collection of their own data, rather than having third parties holding this information. We considered a kit, which includes different chemical sensors and instructions, so the user can be directly responsible for the collection, storage, usage, and upload of their local data. These would be distributed similarly to COVID test kits, where responsibility becomes more local as we conduct our own domestic science experiments for the benefit of others. We then thought about putting the collected data into an app, which the user is in control of. You can scan the QR code to download the app.
In the BetaFish application, you are confronted by a creature that is fed the collected community data. It will mutate and determine its shape and structure based on the information it receives. It is designed to nurture a permacultural mindset, offering a holistic analysis of sewage data and the natural ecosystems involved. People can use this app to check on the live state of a specific water system, determining its health through the physical appearance of the on-screen creature. The outcome of this interface involves both the practical aspect of a readable data visualization as well as a better understanding of our ecological environment. The fish, as a consequence of real data, shows how complex collections of synthetics and chemicals have the potential to interact with us in the future. Human behavior becomes the variable that affects the shape of the fish. This app makes the relationship between human and nature a visual reactionary algorithm, clearly demonstrating the responsibility we have over the state of our environment. In-app, you can view your communal fish and see the state of the shared water system. With the communal fish as a starting point, then the user can utilize their data findings, inputting their sensor readings and personal substance intake to record their individual waste production and affect their fish directly. You become interested in checking up on your fish, seeing how the community is doing as a whole, tracking the way your daily consumption is directly affecting your fish and how you can improve its health and appearance. This direct influence can translate to personal changes, a reduction in detrimental behaviors, and an awareness of the impact of one's consumption. We hope to encourage the realization that all these phenomena are dependent on our behavior, yet still amendable.
By experimenting with data visualization, as an expressive medium. We transform data into visual poetry that can infiltrate our reality-conscious mind. As a gift to our community, we wish to develop a collective mindfulness towards the consequence of our sewage and waste. There is a kind of horrific curiosity in looking at this creature, the monster, our beastly child, the offspring we nurture with the things we put in our bodies and use in our homes, now staring right back at us, wondering what we're going to feed it next. We echo the desperate cry of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. What have we created? Thank you so much for listening.